Okay, turn in number 4. Turn in number 4, we're going to switch topics and we're going to work with the transformation topic, the rigid motion topic that we talked about in the beginning of the year. Um, the diagram that we're given is right here. Use the diagram to answer questions 1 through 5. In the diagram, I have a vector from x to y, and I have a point A. All right. For 1A, it says state the coordinates of A. So A is going to be, and again, when you state coordinates, remember parentheses with that comma in between. You're looking for an x value and you're looking for a y value. So you start at the origin. I have to go back 1, which is -1, and I have to go down 1, 2, 3, which is a -3. So the coordinates of point A would be -1, -3. And if you want to, you can put that A in front. 1B, it's asking us to translate point A in the vector xy and label the point A prime. Okay, A prime is a form of writing an image after a transformation. This transformation we're going to look at is a translation. So we take a look at how we go from x over to y, and either you can take point A and slide it the same direction as this vector, same distance, and find out what it is. One way of doing that is finding out how to get from x to y in a vertical and horizontal way. So going from x, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the right, and I would go up 1. So I want to do the same thing. I want to do the same thing to my point A. I want to take point A and I want to go 4 units to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to go up 1 in the y direction, and there's A prime. So that was what 1B wanted us to do, is wanted us to translate and label. And then for 1C, it wants us to state the coordinates. So A prime is going to be, so now we're trying to find out what these coordinates are. 1, 2, 3 in the x, 1, 2, down 2 in the y. 3, comma, -2. Okay. 2A, what we want to do is we want to reflect the point A in the y-axis, and we're going to label that A double prime. So if I'm going to reflect the point, you got to find out where that line of reflection is, and in this case it's going to be that y-axis. So here's your y-axis. I'm going to reflect the point in the y-axis. So I'm going to go right to the line, and I traveled 1 to get to that line of reflection, and I'm going to go away from that line of reflection the same distance. So there's my point, and the question tells me to label that point A double prime. It wants the coordinates for A double prime. So the coordinates of this point will be 1 in the x, 1, 2, 3 in the y, but down 3, so -3. Okay. Question number 3, now we're taking a look and we're doing a rotation of 180 degrees. And one of the things we looked at earlier when we rotate something 180 degrees, we wind up just changing the signs of both the coordinates. So if you remember that rule, if we're talking about A that has the coordinates -1, -3, and remember the rule that when we rotate something 180 degrees, we basically just simply change the signs. So A triple prime, changing the signs, would be 1, 3. All right. The other way that we did it was we actually turned our paper. So if I took my coordinate plane and I turned it 180 degrees, I basically just would flip it over. So I'm going to have to bring the camera down here. And so here it is. So I turn it over. Here's my point A. And then when you turn it over, this is your y-axis and that's your x-axis, and you'd have to state the coordinates of this point as if this was your regular coordinate plane. And to do that, to get to A, I would go over 1 in the x and then up 3 in the y. So what I'd want to do now is I'd have to go over 1 in the x and up 3 in the y, so I'd flip my paper back, and I would go over 1 in the x and up 3 in the y. And there's my point of reflection, 180 degrees about the origin. All right, and as we said before over here, the coordinates of that point, A triple prime, would be 1, 3. All right, so that's your rotation of 180 degrees. And then question number 4. question number 4, we come down here. And now what we want to do is we want to reflect point A in the x-axis and label it point B. So when we want to reflect point A in the x-axis, we're going to do it the same way as we reflect it in the y-axis. We're going to figure out where that line is, that line of reflection. Here's the x-axis, so here's my line of reflection. And now I want to make sure I take that point, go right to that line. 1, 2, 3. I have to travel 3 to get to it. So I'm going to travel 3 away from it in the opposite, continuing to go in that same direction, but moving away from the line now. 1, 2, 3. There's your reflection point. The question wants us to label that B. So we label that B. Come back down to the problem, and the coordinates of B is going to be -1 in the x, and then up 3 in the y. Alright, on our last question, question number 5. Now question number 5 wants us to, I guess we'll move the camera. Question number 5 wants us to rotate point A counterclockwise. So remember, counterclockwise is, you look at the clock if you need to. Clockwise would be this way. Alright, this is clockwise. So counterclockwise is going to be in the opposite direction. So counterclockwise, we're going to go this way. Alright, so we want to go rotate it 90 degrees. 90 degrees is going to be a quarter turn, and we want to label it point C. So let's go back here. Here's my point A again, right from the beginning. And now what we're going to do is we're going to try to rotate this point 90 degrees counterclockwise. So all I'm going to do is take the paper and turn it a quarter turn. Okay? When I turn it a quarter turn, this is my new y-axis, this is my new x-axis, and all I do is try to figure out what the coordinates of this point is going to be right now. And to get to the point, I'd go 1, 2, 3 in the x, and I'd go down 1 in the y. So it's +3, -1. So I come back over here, and I would go +3, 1, 2, 3, -1. There's my new point, and according to the question, we wanted to label that point C. Okay, so once again, that's just a quick reflection. So you can see it's 1 unit below the x-axis, and it's 3 units to the right of the x-axis, or moving to the right, and that's what C is when we go back up to the original. And we go down to the bottom, and we finish the question. 5A, we did that, we labeled it point C, so that part was done. And then they wanted us to state the coordinates, and if we state the coordinates at that point, it's going to be 3 units to the right on the x-axis. So point C is 3 units in the x and down 1 in the y. So 3, -1. And that concludes our 4th turn-in.